Joining us to expand further on the issues facing Haiti is Professor of Latin American and Caribbean Studies, Senior Fellow at COHA. Danny Shaw is here. Danny, first over to the COVID crisis on the island. Local news reports say folks are more concerned about the growing gang violence there than the virus. Pandemic measures have been lifted long ago on the island. Still, testing is an issue. They have not one vaccine for those 11 million people there. The UN, we just heard, was set to give them about 750,000 doses. But now local reports say the island is actually rejecting the AstraZeneca donation from the UN, saying that they want other drug makers' shots. But herein lies the problem. With continued fuel and electricity outages across much of the island, the deep refrigeration, those temperatures needed for those other brands, makes that a no-go. So what should Haiti do here?
Well, Manila, this is an interesting question because having spent February and March in Haiti, having just returned from Haiti 24 hours ago, these questions are not coming from the Haitian people. These questions may be coming from The Guardian, or Democracy Now, or other U.S. news headlines, but I have not heard on the ground in Haiti a concern with the coronavirus. There's only been 250 total deaths in Haiti over the past 13 months since COVID-19 hit. When the Haitian people say hands off of Haiti, they mean to the U.S., to the UN, to the Organization of American States, hands off of us diplomatically, militarily, economically, and also medically. There's a long history of Western medical interventions. I think what jumps out the most was in the 1980s when U.S. aid and the State Department oversaw the complete decimation, the extinction of the Creole pig population across Haiti. So I did not see masks among millions and millions of Haitians in Port-au-Prince and beyond. And I did not hear concern over the COVID virus. So I wanted to start off by saying that.
That is very interesting to hear that you were on the ground, but there's all these reports, like you said, that are flooding in through Western outlets that are claiming to be reports of locals saying that, they have these concerns. But what about that? There's rolling blackouts right now. I mean, we know that that is an actual problem. There's an infrastructure problem there. Even if they were to get other brands given to them, how would they be able to refrigerate?
Yeah, well, again, the Haitian people, from the thousands and thousands of conversations and interactions I've had in the native Haitian Creole, I never heard one Haitian leader or member of this mass movement against dictatorship and neocolonialism asking for anything even remotely close to a vaccine or for U.S. medical intervention. Now, in terms of an end to blackouts, the electricity crisis, the fuel crisis, yes, this is part of the mass struggle. The mass struggle is in the streets every day against Jovenel Moise, who they see as a U.S. lackey, someone whose constitutional term elapsed on February 7th, 2 months ago, who's refused to step down from power. Yesterday, there was another mass mobilization. And the people are concerned about the police and police repression and police brutality. How many Haitian protesters have been shot and gunned down in the constant tear gas? I myself was tear gassed shoulder to shoulder with the Haitian people. So those are the chief concerns among the Haitian masses.
Right. Real concerns of how to get by. This is a daily, on the ground problem of the regular civilians. I do want to share a little bit of shocking news regarding the vaccines and to your point of saying that people are not interested in the vaccine, because former presidential candidate Howard Dean, politically known for lots of progressive ideas in the past, he's now lobbying for Big Pharma. He recently called on Joe Biden to block a special intellectual property rights waiver that would allow for the production of generic COVID vaccine to meet the needs of low-income countries such as Haiti and I'm sure others across the world. Sir Alexander Fleming, he is not. What is your reaction to hear that Howard Dean would do such a thing?
Well, Big Pharma certainly has its own agenda. And the Haitian people would reject this big agenda, whether it's spearheaded by Howard Dean or anybody else. The Haitian people, again, have no interest, from what I can tell, not that I'm a spokesperson for this mass movement, But in months and months there, I didn't see one mask in Port-au-Prince. Unless you go up into the super elite mountains of Thomasin and Montaille, Noir. These are the Upper East Sides or the Hollywoods of Haiti. This is where the ultra-rich 0.0001% lives. I may have seen a mask or two there. But among millions and millions of Haitians across the country, from Okap, Haitian to Jacmel to Inch to Port-au-Prince, I didn't see one mask. I talked to different Cuban doctors and Haitian experts about this. They said it could be the effect of the sun, the Haitians' DNA constitution. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not trying to play that role. But I can tell you sociologically, Manila, this is the last thing on the people's minds. The people they reject this constitutional referendum coming up in June. Jovenel Moïse is trying to overturn a constitution where Haitian sovereignty, economic and military sovereignty is enshrined, as well as women's self-determination in that constitution. And that's the main issue on people's minds.
All right, we'll make that the last word. Danny Shaw, thank you so much for giving us some first-person insight to what's happening on the ground in Haiti. Thank you.
Thanks, Manila.